Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. Today, we're checking out a brand new weapon mod by myself and Pig. That's right, returning to some of our own projects. And today, we're checking out a new weapon mod that is going to be a bit of an old weapon mod. That's because it's going to be rehashing the Fallout New Vegas classic known as the Riot Shotgun. This mod will be a sort of recreation of the Riot Shotgun, not necessarily one-to-one, but pretty dang close. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't there already a Riot Shotgun mod out there already on the Nexus and on Xbox? And, well, there kind of is. There's a mod by Cumble for the Riot Shotgun, and it is a very good mod. It's one that I've been using in my load order forever. The Riot Shotgun is one of my favorite weapons in New Vegas, and I wanted to have one of my own, as sort of just a little passion project. Additionally, as much as I do love Cumble's set, especially with War Daddy's animations, it is, in my opinion, just missing a bit on the attachment front. It doesn't have a ton of attachments. It is kind of limited in that area, and I wanted mine to have a bit more going on, including the option for full stocks, its accessories, sights, muzzles, etc. So there are some mods that already do this for the Riot Shotgun, like Code Black Crashes add-on, but this one is going to be a standalone mod that has all of that built in, along with custom animations built in, so you don't have to download a separate file. Additionally, this mod will also have support for not only the vanilla ammo type to have it in 12 gauge, just like it was in New Vegas, but there is also a munitions add-on if you want it to put it in 20 gauge, because in my opinion, and in Pig's as well, this thing fits really well as a 20 gauge semi-auto option, essentially an earlier game combat shotgun that isn't going to be too overpowered, offering higher magazine capacity but lower damage. And honestly, that was a really fun way to build this gun, and so that's how we balanced it, but it is still available in 12 gauge for those of you who want that. I couldn't see this one being justified as a munitions-only release, as it is kind of an opinion of mine and Pig's that is pretty unique, and I don't think everybody's going to feel that way. Most people are probably going to want it to perform much like it did in New Vegas. Now then, this thing comes with a ton of customization over at the Weapons Workbench, offering over 60 new attachments, including tons of different aesthetic options, but also some things that change the way the weapon works, including new ammo types like Dragon's Breath and more fun goodies there. This thing does have, of course, everything custom made for the models and textures. I don't think there's a single vanilla asset here. And then we also have custom animations thanks to War Daddy. The ones that he did make for the original Riot Shotgun mod are now being reutilized for this one, and they work perfectly on this weapon, including the newly added stocks. Surprisingly, since they didn't have any in the original mod, they still work pretty well on this animation set, so I'm pretty happy with that. There are also custom sounds, as Pig did make custom firing sounds for this weapon, so that it is more unique from any of the weapons in the base game. Like I said, this mod does have munitions support, but it is not required for this one. You do get to choose which one you prefer. And of course, this thing is injected into the world, so if you want to find this weapon, you will have to go out and find it. That means it'll be spawning in the world on enemies, specifically the Brotherhood of Steel, Gunners, and Triggermen, and of course you can purchase it from shops or find it in the legendary pool, all of that happening after level 16. Now, if that wasn't enough for you, then of course there is more, because it is one of my mods. We also have a couple of uniques that you can find that will have not only unique effects, but of course unique aesthetics as well, that make the gun look totally different than it does in its standard configuration. Altogether, a really, really fun gun. I love the Riot Shotgun in New Vegas, and having something like that in Fallout 4 is great. Compared to the Combat Shotgun, like I said, it is intended to be lower damage, higher magazine capacity, and of course, a little bit higher fire rate to get through those shells a bit quicker. Now, in 20 gauge, if you are using the munitions file, this is all going to make sense and work as intended. If you are using the 12 gauge, it will still work that way in a vanilla load order. However, if you are using my rebalance, it is going to boost the damage to 12 gauge and make it a bit powerful for the level that it drops at, but still not terrible. It spawns around the same time as the 12 gauge combat shotgun, but if you're using my rebalance and you have it in 12 gauge, it will be pretty strong. So keep that in mind, but that also means that if you want it to be stronger, you can have it that way. It really is up to you and how you want to design your load order and your game balance. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in game and start talking about some of the more specific details of this mod, like its stats, animations, attachments, etc. So here we are in game with the Riot Shotgun in its most basic standard configuration. This thing has a base damage of 35 in 20 gauge with that balance. If you are using my ammo rebalance and use 12 gauge, it will instead have a damage of 50, so a pretty big increase to its base damage there. Ignore the stats that you see here, as of course these are coming from different perks that I have that I cannot get rid of. Now again, this thing is chambered in 20 gauge. If you're using that patch, of course it can be in 12, depending on what you choose. But all of these will be the same no matter what. It has a fire rate of 40, a range of 197 in this configuration, an accuracy of 32, a weight of 11.1 pounds, and a value of 80 caps. The only thing that seems a bit off to me is that the weight is a bit high, but it of course does have a built-in drum mag full of shells. What is interesting is that this will only have access to drum mags, much like it did in New Vegas. I would love to have a straight mag option, but sadly we just don't have animations for that with this animation set. The animation set was originally built for a drum mag only, and so that's what we have access to. But there are different sizes of drum mags and some other goodies when we get to the attachment section that make this just okay. Now then, of course, we do need to talk about the animations available since they are custom. We've got some really nice right-handed animations for this guy that fit very, very well. So let's go ahead and do a mag dump. Definitely one of the key reasons that I use this animation set over, say, just a handmade Nuka World AK. I really like the recoil on this thing. I think it fits a shotgun very, very well. The barrel climb on there is super cool, and the reload altogether is very nice. So I'm quite happy with this, and this works very well for our gun. As for accuracy, it's been a while since we've done a shotgun, but you don't have to worry too much about accuracy. I hit 2 targets there. The spread on this thing is pretty nice, and it gets even better when you hip fire. Now, before we move on to the attachments, there are a couple of uniques that we need to talk about first. Starting off with the first unique, known as Creeping Death. This thing is going to have a nice camouflage paint job as well as an ammo pouch there for some really cool brown and green look over the whole gun. And it's going to have an effect that says targets bleed for 25 points of additional damage. Having a spread of a shotgun and also having a pretty fast fire rate means that this is going to be a very, very strong option. If you want to get your hands on this one, it is actually sold by Cricket, so you are going to have to shell out quite a bit of caps to have a pretty dang strong unique. And it's not going to actually be there until higher level, so you're going to have to save up for this guy. Now then, there is also another unique known as the Scoundrel's Scattergun, which has a nice red paint job with some different Raider symbols kind of etched in to the steel there, making this paint scratch away and showing the nice steel underneath, so it kind of shines and looks different in different lighting, which I think is pretty cool. Now this guy is going to have 2 different effects, one of which is that it does have the critical hits cause target to frenzy. That really only applies in VATS unless you have a criticals outside of VATS mod, but another thing that's not really represented here is that this weapon is available in full auto. Now, the base version of the Riot Shotgun, somehow I haven't mentioned this yet, is only available in semi-auto, which is exactly how it was in New Vegas, so semi-auto only. But this unique will allow it to be full auto. As opposed to making it an attachment, I wanted to make it more of a unique feature so that this is a more dedicated weapon and it has its own role in the sandbox, not being a jack of all trades like the vanilla combat shotgun is. So, semi-auto for all the standard variants, full auto for this one right here. And if you want to get your hands on this guy, you're going to have to head over to the Mass Pike Tunnel, where you will be able to find this guy amongst some raiders. Alright, and now of course we need to check out the attachments over at the weapons workbench, of which there are quite a bit, so let's go ahead and get started. For receivers, of course, we have standard all the way up through advanced, nothing special here, just your standard vanilla balancing. For barrels, we have a short barrel, a medium, and a long barrel. We also have ported versions of each of these, which adds a nice shield on top if you're into that kind of thing. For stocks, we have the short stock, a short light stock, which is going to change it from wood to plastic, a folding stock, which is a really cool attachment, I think, for a gun like this. It looks really neat. And also a light version of that if you want it in plastic. A full stock in wood, and a full stock in plastic as well. A gunslinger stock, which is going to have some shells mounted on the side for faster reload. A scavenger stock, which has a pouch mounted to the side. And then a recoil compensating stock, which is going to have a nice tactical butt stock to go on this thing. It is a bit goofy, but it does work. And it's something we've actually seen in New Vegas. Not on this gun in particular, but we have seen it, and it kind of fits pretty nice, and I have to say I kind of like how this looks overall. Stock might be a little too big, but it's not too bad. Then we have the option for the different magazines. We have the standard drum, a quick eject version, which adds a nice little tag on the front there for the implication that you could grab that for a faster reload. We also have a large drum and a large quick eject drum for it as well. For sights, we have the option for standard iron sights, glow iron sights, of course, a hollow sight, which has a nice big mount for this shotgun receiver, a reflex sight, a short scope, a medium scope, and a thermal scope. So this does have the fun thermal scope option as well, which is completely functional. We've talked about that in previous videos. For muzzles, we have the option for no muzzle, a compensator, a spiked compensator for more bash damage, a duckbill choke to tighten the spread, a muzzle brake, and a suppressor, which is massive and really, really fun. We also have the option for more ammo types like buckshot, flechette, dragon's breath, magnum buck, explosive shells, slug shells, pulse slugs, rifled slugs, and plasma slugs. Some of these being a bit goofy, but they are pretty expensive to craft that attachment, so you will need to get some perks in not only gunsmith, but science as well. And then finally, we have the options for accessories. We have no accessory, a flashlight mounted to the bottom here, a shell saddle, which will give you even faster reload speed, and that can be stacked, a targeting laser, and a VATS targeting module if you're a VATS user. So yeah, guys, I think that is everything in the Riot Shotgun. A very, very fun weapon. There are a lot of ways to classify a mod for Fallout 4 or a gun in general, but I think this one is best described as fun. You can just spew buckshot as far as you'd like, and you can customize this thing like crazy, offering tons of different effects through the different ammo types available, as well as having different attachments that make it more interesting to use. So have fun with this thing, customize it like crazy, go find those uniques. This one's a lot of fun to use. It'll be linked down in the description below if you want to try it out for yourself. While you're down there, you could also consider checking me out over on Patreon. It is a completely optional service, but if you'd like to support the work that I do here on YouTube or the mods that I'm making on the Nexus, that is one of the best ways to do it directly. Optional, of course, something that is just there if you want to, but it is there if you'd like to. Now then, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop it a like, and of course, as always, I will see you all in the next one. Peace!